Hello, everybody. It's Miguel here on another one of my walk and talks. It's a little wet here in Santa Barbara today. I've noticed that this evening anyway, there are some droplets of moisture in the air. Some moisture is condensed out of the air, and I just got a warning from my text messages. In my text messages, telling me that within 10 miles there's been a lightning lightning detected, so that's kind of interesting. So I guess there's some rain that's being anticipated in our local area. In fact, I can feel some of the moisture falling on my jacket this evening, and so who knows how long I'm going to be able to record. Maybe I won't be able to make it the full 20-minute duration for this evening, but we'll see what goes on here. I'm noticing that there is some moisture spots on the asphalt roads. So yeah, we're definitely getting some kind of light precipitation right now, and that's kind of interesting. I've heard that today, or actually maybe starting tomorrow, there's going to be some rain, and then at higher elevations there might likely be some snow. So that's kind of interesting. I hear that basically on a fairly regular basis, once or twice a year, Mount Figueroa in the local area gets snow gapped with, say, maybe a quarter inch of snow or a half inch of snow, and that could make a nice day trip to go check out the snow, because snow here in Santa Barbara County is quite a novelty, and it's definitely worth going on a day trip to higher elevations to seek it out, because we may only get basically it doesn't ever snow at the sea level elevations here in Southern California. So if anyone wants to have anything approaching a white Christmas, which, by the way, I hear has an actual definition. A white Christmas, I've heard the definition is that any certain location gets 1 inch of snow on Christmas Day, and so that's interesting. That's a pretty high hurdle for a place like Southern California to achieve. So there aren't too many white Christmases that we have. I know that this last white Christmas for me, the white Christmas was signaled by the cloudy skies that we had. And I know that some people look at the foamy waves coming in from the ocean as being an indication of white Christmas, or maybe the sandy beaches. So anyway, looks like there's going to be maybe not a white Christmas, but a white New Year's. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, it's nice to get some moisture in the air. Like I was saying earlier, yesterday, my mom did buy a humidifier for her home. She sent me an email about it, and I think what I want to do is do some research on the humidifier and see what kind she bought. And good on her for doing that. It's very, very important. There's something about human beings. We like taking control of our environments, particularly our temperature and humidity, and making sure that wind is cut down to the greatest extent possible. I think it's very interesting how wind can be so bothersome for human beings. I know that if the wind kicks up more than, say, 15 miles an hour, I'm having difficulty, if I'm out of doors. But typically when we receive gusts of, say, 30 miles an hour to 35 miles an hour or higher, there's just a lot of things that people just don't stop doing outside. Like they won't go for walks, or they won't go bicycle riding. I've had the opportunity recently to go bicycle riding at a time when the wind was blowing. And it was actually quite unpleasant, because you know, as a bicycle rider, you know, you're fighting the headwinds, and you can't hear very well because the gusts of wind are creating interference, and um, you know, everything just took a little bit extra effort, and so yeah, I'm really glad that on this planet, at least, while there is somewhat wind, much of the time that the wind is pretty 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 slow and easy. You know, so I'm glad about that. It's not like we're Jupiter, where we've got the red storm, the eye of Jupiter, creating havoc, or maybe perhaps even the surface of Venus. so, so yeah, I'm glad we have a nice docile wind environment here on the planet Earth, at least where I live here in Southern California. And basically, I want to praise this area again for its excellent weather. I was just doing some surfing on the internet and noticed that places like, was it Minnesota or something, or Wyoming? I forget where precisely, but there are, at the moment, blizzards that are the worst blizzards that have occurred in a decade. And while you know, my heart goes out to all those people out there who are enduring, I mean, not only the economic difficulty related to COVID, but also, you know, the COVID disease and having to deal with the weather all at the same time. That is a real challenge, and those people definitely have my thoughts my thoughts and prayers are with them. Because let me tell you, now I don't know the thing about the snow is that everything you own is at risk. You know, you only have one set of organs. You know, one typically, you know, you might have one car, and if you mess that up because of some kind of freak accident, it basically becomes very expensive to repair or replace anything that got smashed up while your vehicle or someone else's vehicle crashed into you or crashed into something else. So I know it's such a tragedy. That's the thing about cars. Cars just do not do very well in foul weather, particularly snow and even rain. And you know, it's definitely good not to do very much travel when the weather is doing poorly, let me tell you. Anyway, let's see. Oh, the other day, Emily and I went on a wonderful bicycle ride. We went for an hour and a half bicycle ride down on the bike trail here in Santa Barbara, and it was really enjoyable. The weather was just perfect out, although it started to get a little windy, I think, toward the end. And oh, of course, the days are shorter because we're so close to the winter solstice, the 21st of December. So we started, it was only like 3 o'clock p.m. and we were seeing the long shadows of a setting sun. Well, not that the sun was going to set very, very soon. It was going to take an hour and a half, but still, it was like only 3 o'clock and we could already see signs that the day was ending. So anyway, we had a really enjoyable bicycle ride, and we were able to, you know, get some exercise for our bodies and, you know, get some time outdoors to, you know, let me tell you, there's something about exercise that just calms the mind and helps, at least me, live a more peaceful and relaxed day. Oh boy, I really am noticing the rain happening. I also am noticing some smoke. I think somebody's got their chimney going. They've got their fireplace going, and so I'm noticing some. I don't know if that's fog or whether it's smoke, but I am actually smelling smoke from fire, and so I think that's what I'm smelling. So it's kind of neat to have this colder, wet weather show up right on time too. This is January and February are definitely the wetter months here in Southern California, and I'm glad that at least we're getting a little bit of something. And I hope that over the next 60 days we receive a lot more water, because that will really help preserve and sustain our wildlife and plant life during what I think is going to be a really scorcher of a summer. But who knows? Last June it was really gloomy. In fact, last summer it was pretty gloomy. It never really did get very warm last summer. June gloom was definitely the weather of the day in June, and basically during that whole month. And for lovers of summer, such as Emily and myself are, it did not make for a very enjoyable summer, I'm afraid. It was rather short. And it really didn't start getting warm, at least I don't think, this year until it hit September and August. August and September, and maybe even a little bit of October, when it started getting nice and warm around here. And then, of course, it was just too late. The sun was going down earlier and earlier in the day, and then even though we had warmer days, those days were short. You know, I was thinking today about coronavirus and the impact it's having on people, particularly, our social society, and in particular, I'm actually interested in its impact on relationships. Boy, I tell you, my thinking is that it's having a really strong impact on relationships and might be creating a lot. I mean, for some families who can handle the closeness, it's great, but other families have difficulty with a lot of closeness. In fact, I think human beings in general have difficulty with a lot of closeness. So I have a feeling that the closeness that's being asked of all of us as we shelter in place during this COVID time, that I think it's having a net negative effect on our relationships. I think that people who might have split up are probably huddling together in the same home a little longer than they might have chosen to do. And I know how tempers can flare if situations like that don't change or are unabated. And so I have a feeling that, and not only that, but our political landscape is getting pretty tense, and the health landscape is changing too. A lot of people are getting sick. I don't know how many people have gotten the coronavirus since it first started back in March here in the States, or maybe even just before that. I think the number is estimated of about 19 million infections out of a population of 330 million. So that's a significant chunk of people who've been sick. And let me tell you, I know as a human being that getting sick is no fun. And it can really stress family relations. It can cause people to exhibit psychological problems, and what's also sad is that the COVID is having a very strong impact on a lot of the health profession. The professions that help people survive health impacts, and even the financial impacts as well. So, it's really a difficult time for a lot of people, and I really have a lot of compassion for people right now, because It is such a grand such a grand challenge. But thankfully, there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Particularly, if this vaccine gets widely distributed. I heard some encouraging news. I think either earlier today or yesterday that there have already been 200 people that have received the COVID-19 vaccine. I mean, did I say 200? I meant 2 million people who've received the vaccines. And so I'm really pleased by that. 2 million people. That's, really, I think it's only been like 2 weeks or so, or certainly not any more than 3 weeks, that vaccines have been approved, you know. And so to have already 2 million people being vaccinated, that's pretty wonderful. And I'm really glad to see it. I only hope that those figures improve considerably. I hope that as that vaccine gets more widely distributed, that more and more people get a chance to take it. And I think that'll have a real strong calming effect on the disease that's happening and the difficulties that people are having. I have a feeling that things are going to loosen up a little bit more, particularly as people sort of get these vaccine passports or whatever they need to travel to different places. As they sort of display their proof or demonstrate proof of having gotten vaccinated, and I think it's really going to create a really strong turnaround. So, I was going to do at least an hour walk tonight, but I don't know if you had noticed, but the rain is really starting to come down right now, and I'm actually getting pretty wet. So I think what I'm going to do is put the kibosh on on this walking. I'm sort of regretting that I didn't get out earlier tonight. I only left about 9:00 p.m. to go for my walk. I figured I'd just walk for 50 minutes to an hour. But here it is. I'm only 15 minutes into my walk, and it's already really kind of raining like gangbusters out here, and I'm actually getting wet. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an end to this walk here, and we're going to figure out a way to stay dry and get ready to go to work tomorrow and hit the gym again. So anyway, I guess I'm going to sign off here in a second. Boy, I tell you, this place where I live has been really wonderful recently. Actually, it's really been a wonderful experience, and there's just something about home, particularly home during the wintertime. Hey Google, turn on living room lights, particularly during the wintertime and a time where there's so much distress. The home and the meaning behind home just has a new meaning, it's just that cozy place where we can go and get respite from all of our problems and at least get a break, so yeah, I'm so thankful for that, to have a home and to have it well established, and to just to appreciate that I have a place to go, and it's a place that I find calm and peaceful and comforting and even sacred. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to sign off. I don't really have a weightlifting update other than I'm really pleased by using the Strong app on Android. I'm really making some serious progress in the gym, and I feel like I'm getting stronger every time I go to the gym because that app is really working for me. And of course, there's also another aspect. I'm in a bulking phase right now, and because I'm in such an anabolic state, I'm able to lift heavier weights than ever. So I'm really pleased by that. And I'm looking forward to maybe starting a cut, say in the next week or two. And
we'll get a little bit shredded, and we'll be able to see the results of all of our fine work over the last 60 days or so as we've done some cutting and bulking. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye bye.